Arsène Lupin is on this ship. The gentleman thief of 1,000 disguises has snuck aboard this ship. Wound on the right forearm, travelling alone.
Too bad. Would like to see Lupin arrested myself.
Someone's stolen my jewels!
In a camera like this, anyone could store the jewels. Arsène Lupin, am I right? You play a good game, my boy, but the game is up, Lupin.
Any tourist who has ever visited the banks of the Seine will have noticed the little feudal castle of the Malaquis sitting in the centre of the river. Having survived combats, sieges, assaults, rapines and massacres, the general public have conjured up mysterious legends connecting to the castle. One tells us of a famous subterranean tunnel that once led to the Abbey of Jumièges, or that the spirits of those who perished in the wars echo in the night. Neither have been officially verified. Following this castle's long and bloody history, Baron Nathan Cahorn recently moved into the property, a man who had acquired some fortune with surprising speed. The Lord of Malaquis, short on money, had no choice to sell his ancient castle to Baron Cahorn, containing an astonishing collection of furniture, paintings and wood carvings. The Baron lived there alongside his servants. If you were to ever meet Baron Cahorn, the first thing you'd notice is how on edge he is. A man living in constant fear, not for himself, but for the treasures he'd worked so hard to accumulate for himself. The Baron hardly made contact with anyone, and never had any visitors, which is why a normal doorbell made no sense to anyone.
It's only me, Monsieur le Baron. There is no imposter here.
One can never tell.
Anyway, Monsieur le Baron, a letter addressed to you.
Living a reclusive life without friends or business relations meant that the Baron should never receive any letters. The Baron hesitantly accepted the letter, feeling his tranquility threatened by the correspondent's audacity to contact him.
Monsieur le Baron, I believe there is, in the gallery in your castle, a painting of Philippe de Champagne, of exquisite finish, which I find most attractive. Your Rubens are also to my taste, as well as your smallest Watteau. To the right, I've observed the Louis XIII cadence table, the tapestry of Beauvais, the Empire Guéridon signed Jacob, and the Renaissance chest. To the left, all the cabinets full of jewels and miniatures. At this present time, I would be content with all of the articles that can conveniently be removed. I ask that you pack them carefully and ship them to me, charges prepaid, to the station at Batinois within 8 days. If this is not possible, I shall be obliged to remove them myself on the night of September 27th. Under these circumstances, however, I will not be content to just the articles mentioned above. Accept my humble apologies for any inconvenience I may cause you, and believe me to be your humble servant. Regards, Arsène Lupin.
The Arsène Lupin? Surely not. The Baron read the newspapers. He knew that the world-famous thief had been arrested in America by his sworn enemy, Ganimard. Immediately, the Baron wrote to the Procurer of the Republic at Rouen, an investigative judge, enclosing the letter and asking for aid and protection of his castle. However, to his disappointment and worry, the response read that Lupin was in the custody of the Prison de la Santé. The Procurer believed that the letter was simply the work of an impostor. Despite the similarities, this was not Lupin's handwriting. The Baron was not convinced. despite the similarities, set a hint of doubt in his mind. The real possibility that Lupin would indeed appear on the night of September 27th. His resources inadequate, his district's official underwhelming. The Baron needed a detective. The Baron found some good news in the paper of the neighbouring town, Codbec & Co.
We have the pleasure of hosting the veteran detective Monsieur Ganimard, who has acquired worldwide fame for his clever capture of Arsène Lupin.
The timing was perfect, and the Baron did not hesitate. Who else was better suited to guard him than Ganimard himself? Only 6 kilometres from the castle, the Baron made his way to the office of the Réveil, situated on the quay, the paper that had published the article.
Excuse me.
Ah, bonjour. How can I help you on this fine day? Bonjour. Do you know who would happen to be the author of this article?
I did. Are you looking for Detective Ganimard, monsieur?
I am.
You should find him somewhere along the quay with his fishing pole. I met him there and chanced to read his name on his rod. I should tell you that not many people have gotten him to open up, however. He seems to appreciate secrecy.
Monsieur Ganimard? That's me. You're not another reporter wanting an interview, are you? I'm seriously very bored of all my fishing being disturbed. Not at all. I have a request. Monsieur, only an idiot thief would warn people that they're about to rob, and Arsène Lupin especially is no idiot. But, monsieur, if I had the least doubt, believe me, the pleasure of capturing Arsène Lupin would place me at your disposal, but unfortunately that young man is locked away in the prison. What if he's escaped? No one has ever escaped from the Santé, but he no more than any other. Yet, well, if he does escape, so much the better, I'll catch him again. Now, go home and sleep soundly. There's nothing more to be done right now. Not to mention you're frightening the fish. The next day, on September 26th, the bell was rung again. This time it was an older postman, who had brought another letter, who walked off, leaving the Baron in worry.
No goods at Battenwell Station. Prepare everything for tomorrow night. Lupin.
Well, what of it? What of it? It's tomorrow! The robbery of my castle! Do you really think I'm going to bother myself over a silly story such as that? How would you accept to guard my castle tomorrow night? I'm not interested. Now go away and leave me alone.
Name your price. I am rich and can pay whatever you want.
Seriously, I am here on vacation. I have no right to undertake such work at this time. No one will know. It will be a secret. Nothing will happen. Lupin is behind bar 3,000 francs. Will that be enough? Very well. But you do realise that you are wasting your money, right? I do not care. In that case, if this indeed is Lupin, he may have a band of robbers or conspirators with him. Are you sure your servants are trustworthy? My faith, actually, it's better not to count on them. I'll call 2 of my men to help me. Now, it is best you go. We shouldn't be seen together. I'll arrive tomorrow, 9 p.m.
We're here. Wait! Please don't sit on that. It's very valuable. Hey, don't smoke in here. Do you want to damage the goods? Why, a professional like Ganimard hired. Wait, where is Ganimard? No nonsense, guys. You're not here to sleep. If you hear the slightest creak, open the windows to the court and call me. We cannot underestimate Lupin, regardless of how big this castle is.
And now to our post. Where did you disappear off to earlier? I had a quick scoot around to see which room we should stay in the night. And here it is. He had chosen the Baron's main office, which sat in the castle's left side tower, providing ample view of the front and a view of the court. Monsieur le Baron, I believe you mentioned of a tunnel. It's the only subterranean entrance to the castle. It's been sealed for all the time we've known about it. Yes, I believe so. I haven't dared check it out of fear of the unknown, personally, but my servants have claimed it's harmless.
Well then, unless some magical entrance exists only to Lupin, we are quite safe. I feel ashamed for accepting your offer for a job that requires hardly any effort. Wait till I tell the story to my friend Lupin. He'll get a crack out of it. Did you hear that?
Yes. What is it? I was snoring, I suppose. No, not that. You've been snoring since you started napping. Listen again. Ah, well, that's the horn of a car. Could it be him? Well, I doubt Lupin would use a vehicle to batter ram your castle to the ground. You're getting worked up over nothing. Now get a good night's sleep. Good night.
What did I tell you, Monsieur le Baron? Nothing to worry about. I really shouldn't have accepted your offer. I am ashamed.
The pictures! The credence!
Wake up! They've been drugged.
By who?
By him, of course. All men under his discretion. That approach is very much his move.
In that case, I've lost. Nothing can be done.
Lodge a complaint.
What good will that do?
Worth a try. The law has some resort.
The law? Ha! It's useless. The procurer didn't believe me, and you at this very moment are useless. You should be looking for a clue, a trace, and you've found nothing.
Find a clue left behind by Arsène Lupin? My dear monsieur, Arsène Lupin leaves no clues behind him. Everything is calculated beforehand.
Then I must renounce my paintings. He's stolen all of my collection's gems, and I'd have to give a fortune to recover them. If there is no alternative, I must let him name his own price. Now that is sensible. Are you sure you want to commit to it? Yes, but why? I have an idea, but we must discuss it later. An official examination will be carried out, and if it does not succeed, we'll follow this idea. But you cannot mention that I was here. Not one word if you want my assistance.
It is true that there is nothing for me to boast about in this affair.
Some time had passed as the assistants woke up, bewildered out of a strange sleep. Ganimard filled them in on all that had occurred whilst they were knocked out, but they could recall nothing.
Are you sure you saw no one? No. Can't you remember? No. Did you drink anything? Just a little bit of water. Out of that carafe. Yes, so did I. Come, we are wasting our time. We can't solve a Lupin problem in 5 minutes, but I swear, I'll catch him again.
A few days had gone by after Baron Cahorn had submitted a charge of burglary against Arsène Lupin. He had regretted making the charge when he became the centre of a new sensation. Newspapers, reporters, photographers hassled him daily, each wanting a piece of the story. The reclusive man's life was suddenly thrown in the middle of an entertaining story featuring Lupin. It was the letter that Lupin had initially sent to Baron Cahorn, however, that stirred the public. Published in the Echo de France, though no one knows how the paper obtained the letter, theories of the subterranean tunnels were once again under public scrutiny. The officers of the law searched the castle up and down and followed this line of research in the hopes the crime could be solved. However, no trace of this supposed tunnel ever existed. The officers of Rouen, running out of leads, requested the assistance of the Parisian detective force. Having spent 48 hours in the castle themselves, they were out of ideas also. So, at last, Ganimard was officially brought onto the case, as he was briefed by his superior, Monsieur Dudouis, chief of the Sûreté. In my opinion, you should give up on ransacking the castle. We won't find the answers there.
Where then?
With Arsène Lupin.
Don't be absurd. For that theory to work, we'd have to admit his intervention.
Oh, but I do. In fact, I'd consider quite certain.
Be reasonable, Ganimard. That's just absurd. How can he? Arsène Lupin is in prison as we speak.
Indeed, but he'd have to have fetters on his feet, manacles on his wrist, and a gag in his mouth before I can change my opinion.
Why so obstinate, Ganimard?
Because Arsène Lupin is the only man in France who could pull off a heist of that magnitude.
Mere words, Ganimard.
But true ones. Look, what are they even doing? Searching for subterranean passages, stones swirling on pivots, and other nonsense of that kind. Lupin doesn't use those kinds of old-school tactics.
So, what do you propose?
That I speak to him, for 1 hour with your permission.
In his cell?
Yes. During the return trip from America, we became very friendly. I venture that, if he can give me any information without compromising his position, he won't hesitate to save me from unnecessary trouble otherwise. Ah, this is a surprise. Ganimard, my dear fellow. Greetings, it's me. You know, I've wanted to have a chat with you whilst I hang out in this cell. Very kind of you, I'm sure. Not at all. You know how I hold you with the greatest of respect. I am proud of it. I've always said, Ganimard is our best detective. He is almost, you see how candid I am, he is almost as clever as Sherlock Holmes. I must apologise, however, that I cannot offer you anything better than this hard stool, and no refreshments, not even a glass of beer. Of course, you will excuse me, as I will only be here temporarily. Much obliged. You know, Ganimard, I appreciate seeing the face of an honest man. I'm rather tired of those spies who spend most of my days ransacking my pockets and my cell to satisfy themselves that I won't be escaping. Quite right, too. Why so? I'd be quite content if they'd leave me in peace and live in my own quiet way. On other people's money. Indeed, it is a simple way of living. But here I am, joking, and you are in no doubt a hurry. So, let's get down to business. The Cahorn affair. Give me a moment. I've had so many affairs that I need to remember which one this was. Yes, Malachi Castle. 2 Rubens, a Watteau, and a few trifling articles. Trifling? Honestly trifling. Hardly important. But I can tell the case interests you. How can I help, Ganimard? I imagine you've been keeping up to date on the case. Naturally. I've read the papers, and frankly, you lot have made very little progress. Hence why I've come to see you. I'm entirely at your service. Was the Cahorn affair managed by you? From start to finish. The letters that warned, all mine. I'm sure I've got the receipt somewhere. Aha! I was sure you were closely guarded and searched, and yet you can read the newspapers and collect postal receipts. Huh, the staff in this prison are so dim. They open the lining of my vest, they examine the soles of my shoes, they sound the walls of my cell, and yet they never imagine that I might just hide things in such simple places. What an unusual fellow you are. You truly bewilder me. But come now, and tell me about the Cahill affair. Not quite so fast. You'd rob me of all my secrets, expose all of my little tricks. Was I wrong to count on your complacence? No, Ganimard. And since you insist, what did you think of my letter to the Baron? You were amusing yourself by playing to the gallery. Oh, come, Ganimard, I thought you knew me better. Would I have written that letter if I could rob the Baron without writing to him? That letter was the key to this whole scheme, this motor that set the whole machine in motion. Now, let us discuss the plan of robbing the Malachy castle. Let's imagine a castle, carefully closed up from the outside world in the way the Baron Cahorn did. Should I abandon the scheme and give up on obtaining the treasures so I desire, simply because the castle that holds them is inaccessible? Evidently not. Should I just mount an attack and charge in, guns blazing, at the castle like those old adventures in ancient times? No, that would be foolish. Would relying on stealth and cunning strategies get me in the castle? No chance. Well then, there is only one route left. I must have the owner of the castle invite me in. Well, that is an original method, and a wonderful, easy one it was. Imagine that one day the owner receives a foreboding and threatening letter from the notorious Arsène Lupin that states he's going to get robbed. What's the first thing he's going to do? Send a letter to the procurer, who will simply laugh at him, because said Arsène Lupin is actually in prison. Then, out of anxiety and fear, the man will ask the assistance of whoever is first willing to help him out. Right? Very likely. And if he happens to read in a country paper that a celebrated detective is spending his vacation in a neighbouring town, naturally he would seek that detective. Of course. But on the other hand, what if, having foreseen that this is where the state of affairs would lead, said Arsène Lupin requests that one of his friends visits Caudebec, make the acquaintance of the editor of the Réveil, and let said editor understand that the editor is the celebrated detective? Then what will happen? The editor will announce in the Réveil that the said detective is in Caudebec. Precisely. And now one of two things will happen. Either the fish, or Cahorn in this case, will not bite and nothing will happen. Or, and the more likely option for a man so possessive about his treasure, he will run and greedily swallow the bait. My friend accepts this and summons two members of our band who, during the night, while Cahorn is under the watchful eye of his protector, removes certain articles by way of the window and lowers them with ropes into a nice little launch chartered for the occasion. Simple, isn't it? I have to admit, this is a marvellous plan. The boldness of the scheme and the ingenuity of it all is beyond criticism. But who is the detective whose name and fame serves as a magnet to attract the Baron? There was only one name that could do it. Just one. Yours, of course, the most illustrious Ganimard. So the Baron did keep his promise of not mentioning you were involved. Terrific. And should the Baron fess up and discuss the entirety of the case, about how he came to you for help and how you are a part of this scheme, you would have to arrest yourself in the same way you arrested me. Revenge is truly very amusing. I cause Ganimard to arrest himself. But fear not, my dear Ganimard. You will not go to Malachy. You want to know the best part of this whole scheme? The Cahorn affair is about to be settled. Excuse me? I've just seen the chief of the Sûreté. But what of it? Does Monsieur Dudouis know my business partner better than I do myself? You will learn that that the pseudo-Ganimard is still on good terms with the Baron. The latter has authorised him to negotiate a very delicate transaction with me, and at the present moment, in consideration with a certain sum of money, it is highly likely that the Baron in fact will have recovered possession of his pictures and other treasures, and upon their return he will withdraw his complaint. As such, the theft no longer exists. The law must abandon the case, and everyone is happy. Wait, what? How do you know all of that? Because at this very moment, my dear Ganimard, I have just received a telegram. You are joking, Lupin. I most certainly am not, my dear friend. Crack the egg over there. Have a read for yourself. 100,000 francs. Very little, but then, these are hard times. I have some heavy bills to meet. If only you knew my budget. Living in the city comes at a high price. Fortunately, we do not have a dozen such as you to deal with. If we did, we'd have to close up shop. Well, a person must have some diversion to occupy his leisure hours, especially when he's in prison. What? Your trial, your defence, the examination, is that not enough to occupy your mind? Well, no, because I've decided I won't be present at my trial. What did you just say? You heard? I shall not be present at my trial. Really? Oh, my dear Ganimard, you think I'm just waiting here in prison to die? No. Arsène Lupin remains in prison just as long as it pleases him, and not 1 minute more. Well, you would have saved yourself the effort by not getting caught in the first place. Ah, you jest. You must remember that you had the ultimate honour of arresting me. But you mustn't get complacent. You would have not caught me had someone not distracted me. Ah, an excuse, I see. Permit me to say that you've been here a long time, but it was a delightful adventure nonetheless. Today is a Friday. Next Wednesday at 4 p.m. you'll find me smoking my cigar at your house in the Rue Perglis. Well then, Arsène Lupin, I will be expecting you there. Ganimard, what is it? You've left your watch behind. My watch? Let me guess, it slipped into your pocket. Indeed, bad habit. Not to mention I do have a satisfactory watch of my own. From whose pocket did that come? J.B. Who the devil is he? Ah, yes, Jules Bouvier, the judge who conducted my examination. Charming fellow.